Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. The new webinar that we are organized today is Amazing Ayodhya. And this is our special Navratri webinar. And we have a special guest today to host this webinar. Okay. And she's the author of Amazing Ayodhya, the book on Ayodhya. She's not just an author, she is an alumna of prestigious Indian Institute of Mass Communication, New Delhi. And she's a passionate about writing and understanding the wisdom contained in Hindu scriptures. She has been studying Sanskrit for years to understand Dharmic text. She's an accomplished abstract artist. So please welcome NEENA Rai. Over to you, NEENA.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this session of Amazing Ayodhya. Here we are going to uncover the basics of Ayodhya that everybody should know. Unfortunately, people do not know. And if you've seen the question answers that have been sent to you, I will be giving you answers to those questions and explaining their details as well. So Amazing Ayodhya is a book which is under the last phase of editing, and it should be released around Diwali. And this book covers all the details of Ayodhya that we should be knowing, but unfortunately we do not know. And I wrote this book because there was a lot of misinformation, and many people didn't know things. And यहाँ पे लोग कह सकते थे कि अंधों में काना राजा होता है, but यहाँ पे मुझे काने राजे भी नहीं मिल रहे थे जो मुझे बता सकते थे अयोध्या के बारे में. So I'm going to start the presentation. It's a small presentation. You all will enjoy it. It has a few pictures and a few questions which you can look through. Just give me a second and I'll start sharing my screen. Okay, so this okay, so we will start with Amazing Ayodhya now. And the book originally describes the city of Ayodhya, all the details of it. There are some very interesting details. Because we have very little time, so I will go with the basics of Ayodhya that we all ought to know, but we still don't. So let's go ahead and I'll start the journey of Ayodhya. And the first question that arises whenever we speak of Ayodhya is, when do we think of Ayodhya? And unfortunately, we only think of Ayodhya when it's Diwali. And उसके पहले हमें अयोध्या की याद नहीं आती जबकि अयोध्या हमारे लिए एक धाम है. It's a very ancient city and it predates Sri Ram Bhagwan. Ram Bhagwan was born in Ayodhya, but Ayodhya is much, much, much older to Ram Bhagwan, and it is equally important to Ram Bhagwan. And in a way, for Hindus, it is the most important city, except nobody tells us that it is the most important city. And whenever we think of Ayodhya, the image that we conjure of Ayodhya, like if it is one of the most important cities for Hindus, then, what is the image that we conjure up of Ayodhya? And since we only think of Ayodhya during Diwali, when, Sri Ram Bhagwan and Sita ji come back to Ayodhya, the only thing we know of Ayodhya is that the whole city was lit up with lamps to welcome the king and queen. And somehow the whole of Ayodhya is just, sort of limited to this interpretation. And what we try and do is that we try and replicate this in our homes. But Ayodhya is much more than that. Ayodhya is bigger, it's grander, it's more beautiful, it's prosperous, it's an amazing city. If you just read the Valmiki Ramayana, you'll get an idea of how amazing this city is. It has homes made up of gold. There are, the walls of the palaces, and the walls, they're all painted, they're beautiful, and they're studded with many types of gems. Now, these are the details of Ayodhya. These are the houses of Ayodhya. How are the houses shaped? What is the structure of Ayodhya? When was Ayodhya established? And how was it? And who established it? So I'll cover some of these questions here. I cannot cover all the interesting details as we have very limited time. Okay. And yeah. The question is there anything more to Ayodhya apart from diyas? And the answers to both is, so is Ayodhya limited to diyas only? The answer is no. And is there anything more to Ayodhya? Yes, there are a million more things to Ayodhya. And in this little presentation, I'm only going to cover the basics of Ayodhya, which everybody ought to know. So the first question is, who established Ayodhya? We live in Delhi. I don't know who all have joined from other places, but generally there is always somebody who has established a city. A city is always established by somebody or the other. And in the dust of time, we often forget who established the city. So for example, Indraprasth, which is Delhi today, was established by the Pandavas. And, so we know this much of history, perhaps because we live in Delhi and Mahabharata is a bit closer to us as it happened in Dwapar Yuga, and every Gita is a part of our lives, so we sort of know this basic. But who established Ayodhya? And the answer to this question is that Manu established Ayodhya. So now, who is Manu? A lot of people do not know who Manu is. So Manu is actually a title. Manu is the title given to the progenitor of the human race. He is, the person responsible for, the human species. From Manu, from the name Manu, comes the word Manav. So the progeny of Manu are called Manav, and so humans are called Manav. And in English as well, the word man is derived from the name Manu. So if you can check up the dictionary, you'll see in etymology, the word man is derived from Manu. We all are children of Manu. So how did Manu establish Ayodhya, and why did Manu establish Ayodhya? So the thing is that there was a major pralay. There was a pralay, and after every manvantar there is a pralay. So Manu is the progenitor of the seventh manvantar. There was a pralay. The whole of earth was flooded with water. There was nothing except for water. So Vishnu Bhagwan came in the form of a fish, and he had the Vedas with him. And here in this picture, you can see that Manu is there with the Saptarishi, and Manu is sitting in the end. He's the king with the crown, and him and the Saptarishis are being taken to land. So when Manu survives the pralay, and the Saptarishis survive the pralay, the whole of the species is gone. Like there's nothing on earth. So he saves the animals and the humans. And then he establishes his new capital in a place called Ayodhya. So Ayodhya therefore becomes it becomes the cradle of human civilizations. Now Hindu civilization, the Hindu religion, or the Hindu dharma, is the oldest surviving and living religion in the world. And according to Hindus, Ayodhya then is the cradle of human civilization. And Manu is the person who has established Ayodhya Puri. Ayodhya Puri as in the capital city of Ayodhya. Manu also is very important in our scriptures, and his importance can be derived from many places. For example, in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan Sri Krishna talks about Manu, and his original name is Satyavrat or Vivaswan Manu. Vivaswan because he's the son of the sun god, Vivaswan. So his name is Vivaswat Manu. So in the Bhagavad Gita, this is a shlok from Bhagavad Gita chapter 4. This is the first shlok of Bhagavad Gita. So here Sri Krishna says, imam vivaswate yogam. So in this shlok, when he talks about yoga, so he talks about the imperishable knowledge of yoga. And Bhagwan Shri Krishna says that I taught this to Vivaswan. Vivaswan taught it to Manu, Vivaswat Manu, who is his son. And Vivaswat Manu then taught it to Ikshvaku. Now we all know that Manu's son is Ikshvaku, and in the dynasty of Ikshvaku comes Lord Ram. So, you know, the scion of Ikshvaku is Lord Ram. So there is a science, the knowledge of yoga, which has been coming down from Bhagwan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, and then to Surya Dev, from Surya Dev to Manu, from Manu to Ikshvaku, and then further down in the Ikshvaku clan. And further down in the Ikshvaku clan is Raja Dashrath, and the son of Dashrath, Lord Ram. So while Ramji is born in Ayodhya, Ayodhya's importance is even bigger than, you know, let's say Lord Ram, and even prior to Lord Ram. And it's a you know, the cradle of human civilization. Here comes another question. So if it is so, in which yug was Ayodhya established? So Manu is a person from Satya Yuga. So therefore, Ayodhya was established in the Satya Yuga, which is the first yuga. And another interesting question arises in people's mind, and I've asked this to a lot of people and they're not able to answer this. And the question is, what was Ayodhya? So some people say, Array, it was a kingdom. Array, it was, you know, a state. It was a city. You know, but nobody is able to give the correct answer. And the answer is that Ayodhya is a district. Why do we say it's a district? Because a district has both the urban and the capital areas. But sorry, urban, capital, and the rural areas. Generally, in a city, you have the urban area, and the capital you have, you know, mostly the urban part of the city. Then you have the capital, but you also have a district. So in a district there are rural areas जो खेती बाड़ी के लिए यूज होते हैं, वहाँ पे farms होते हैं, उन्हें you know वहाँ पे चीजें grow की जाती हैं, orchards होते हैं, farms होते हैं, ये सारी चीजें होती हैं. So Ayodhya is not a state. Ayodhya is not an empire. Ayodhya is just a district. The empire or the kingdom, if you want to call it, it was Kosal. Ideally, it was Kosal. Kosal was a state or a kingdom. Usme Ayodhya was a district, and in the district of Ayodhya, in the urban area of Ayodhya, was the capital of Kosal, which was Ayodhya Puri. उसे Ayodhya Puri कहा जाता है. Here is another very interesting question, which most people in the common era cannot even fathom. And that's why I had kept this question. What is the shape of Ayodhya district? So the shape of Ayodhya district is a square. Now, I have chosen to show you the shape of Dholavira just as an example. Sorry, the shape of Ayodhya is a rectangle. Dholavira is a squarish sort of a shape. But ideally, if you see the dimensions, it's a rectangular shape. So I have chosen this to show that in earlier times, all the city, state, and the homes were made identical as to what Vastu Shastra has told us. And so Vastu Shastra has outlined that very specific shapes for districts and cities. Ideally, they should either be square or rectangle. And if it is in a rectangular shape, then there are certain you know, ratios that it should not exceed. So here is an example of Dholavira, and I am showing this to tell you that in earlier times, all of the districts used to be like this. And I have taken the example of Delhi to show you how in the modern world we do not follow these anymore. So you can see the shape of New Delhi, which looks like a bit of a splotched fried egg on a pan. And you know, you compare that to other places. So here it is. You know, what was the size of Ayodhya in Yojan? Now, the size of Ayodhya in yojan and the shape is around 3 yojan by 12 yojan. So here, this is written in the Valmiki Ramayana. Ayata dasha cha dve cha yojanani mahapuri Srimati Trini Vistirna Suvibhakta Mahapatha. So, the beautiful and prosperous city of Ayodhya extended for 12 yojan in length and 3 yojan in breadth. Sorry, that breadth is hidden behind my video here. So you can see, Ayodhya is narrower on the tops and very, very long at the bottom. And if you will take out the ratio of this, the ratio is 3 is to 12 is to 1 is to 4. So this is an exact ratio which is followed according to the tenets of Vastu Shastra. And according to Vastu Shastra, if this is the ratio of a district, then this is a very auspicious ratio, and it sort of gives prosperity to the land that you are in. And yojan is a calculation of ancient times. There is a lot of discrepancy on according to what a yojan should be. And so yojan is approximately equal to 9 miles. So if we take the length and the width, we have around 108 miles and of length and 27 miles. And if we take out the area, then we have approximately 4,692 square kilometers, which is the area of Ayodhya that we get. And in the modern world, if we take a look at the cities of the modern world in the present yuga, remember we are talking of Treta Yuga, and we are in Kali Yuga. So we have, there are 2 yugas which have gone in between. So Treta is finished and Dwapar is finished. And so today we have Philadelphia, which is around about the same size of Ayodhya. So Philadelphia is a very, very large, place, and apparently that's the area that Ayodhya used to have in the past. And here is the most common question, which is on which river bank was the city of Ayodhya established, or the district of Ayodhya established? And the answer is that Ayodhya was established on the banks of river Saryu. So Saryu used to flow towards the north of Ayodhya, and they had a moat surrounding Ayodhya. And that moat provided the waters for farming, for daily use, for everything in Ayodhya. And according to Vastu Shastra, I don't know if people listening are aware or not, that water should always be, the source of water should always be towards the north. And most Vastu Shastras say that entrance should be towards the north, or the home should be pointing towards the north. Here as well, the district is pointing towards the north. And when I take a look at Delhi homes, I'm talking of Delhi homes because I am from Delhi, and I see this beautiful continuation of whatever little knowledge that we have from Vastu Shastra, we still follow it today. And in lots of homes, you have entrances towards the north. And this was the same thing in Ayodhya. The Ayodhya district was pointing towards the north, with Saryu towards its north, and and then a moat was constructed around it, and following the tenets of Vastu Shastra to the T. And that was it for a little presentation. And I'm here if you have any questions, if you have any queries. And I'm
Thank
also
you so much. Thank you, Neena. Thank you for that insightful information. I was wondering, how did we miss so much information about Ayodhya? Thank you so much. And as you said, we will wait for questions from the participants. Okay. Before that, I have a question for you. Okay, so I know that in the past you have worked for media and all those, in the past. But how did you choose to, write a book on Ayodhya? Can you tell us what inspired you?
Okay, should I stop screen sharing? Is that okay? Is that everybody seen this? Is that
Yes, yes, you can stop sharing the screen. Sure.
is this better now? Can everybody see me?
Yes.
Okay, so I was always a bhakt of, when we live in the modern world and when we see a lot of people around us, and um, we generally never try and find out whether that person is a devotee or not a devotee. So I think a lot of people, probably we see each other in public, we don't understand that there are lots of devotees around. So I was always a devotee, and nobody could guess, nobody knew, but those who were spiritually bent and those who were closer to me, they always knew that I was very spiritual. I was a devout devotee of Bhagwan, and by Bhagwan I don't only mean Sri Ram, other devis and devatas. Of course, Sri Ram had a special place in my heart. I became a devotee because when I was growing up, I used to stay a lot with my grandparents, and I used to spend a lot of my holidays with them. And उनके घर पे हमेशा कथा होती थी. So they were very particular about, imbibing good values to children, and teaching them a little bit about, dharma and all of that. So एक बार उनके घर पे कथा हुई थी, and उस कथा में इतनी सुंदर कथा थी राम जी के बारे में. And there was this man who was singing about, he was the singer, and he sang so beautifully about Sita ji and her bidai, that everybody started crying in the audience. And it shocked me because I was a very young girl when I was still a teenager when I heard that. So I said, ye roya kyun, isko aise kaise laga? And obviously, and then all the things that I'd heard, I was very curious. So I picked up the Ramcharitmanas, because generally in India the practice is to study the Ramcharitmanas and not the Valmiki Ramayana. And I started reading the Ramcharitmanas out of my own desire. I don't know why, what, so I started reading it. And when I started reading it, I realized that I started bursting into tears. So it became so bad that I would read one or two lines or three lines and I would just start crying. And there was no reason, there was no answer. I was very surprised why I would just I would keep bursting into tears. So, it shocked me, and it shocked me to such an extent that I couldn't read further. And in a later conversation, my grandmother told me, Beta, if you really want to know the real Ram and the real Sita and the real truth about their life, then you must read the Valmiki Ramayana, because the Valmiki Ramayana is the original reservoir of knowledge. And I lived abroad for most of my youth, for most of my life. And once I came back to India, I decided that I wanted to study Sanskrit to know the Valmiki Ramayana better, because even though the Hindi and the English translations are there, I could understand that there were a lot of errors there. And hence I studied Sanskrit so I could understand what was being said. और वाल्मीकि रामायण में सिर्फ कहानी लिखी है, उसके पीछे के रीजंस नहीं दिए गए हैं. जैसे आपको बता दिया गया है कि अयोध्या का शेप एक रेक्टेंगल है, पर अयोध्या का शेप रेक्टेंगल क्यों है ये आपको बताया नहीं गया है. तो वो क्यों, कैसे, कब, किसने, और ये जो प्रश्न मेरे मन में उठते थे, इनको रिसर्च करने के लिए मैंने पूरी संस्कृत सीखी. संस्कृत के साथ मैंने बाकी शास्त्र भी उठाए, जैसे वास्तुशास्त्र पढ़ा, शिल्प शास्त्र पढ़ा, ये सब चीजें पढ़ी मैंने. तो इसी से मेरा पूरा क्या बोलती हूँ, मेरी पूरी जर्नी शुरू हुई. एंड ये जर्नी 5-6 साल लगे. It's taken me around 6 years to get here, 5-6 years. Not to mention that Ramayana and all I've been studying since I was a young girl, reading about it and listening to it. I've been doing it since I was a young girl. So
That is, yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. That is quite interesting, Neena. And 6 years is a lot of time that you've invested in this, and I'm sure it's gonna be a great hit. The book is gonna be a great hit. And same is an opinion from one of our participants, Neetu Shukla, who says, "Thank you and all the best for your book release." So
thank
as from our side also, and I think there is no more questions. There is no questions from the participants yet. Thank you so much, Neena, and best of luck for your book,
Thank you
Revels.
so much. Do you want me to announce the winners?
Yeah, sure. I request you to announce the winners of the Navratri quiz contest that we are running in the app. So we run every new questions in the app, and there is a participant who is answering, and we are giving rupees 500 worth voucher to them. You can go ahead and announce.
The answer for first day is Manu because he established Ayodhya, and Manu जी का जो है वो जो जिन्होंने वो लिखा है उनका नाम नहीं लिखा है, so I don't have the name, so I hope you give it to that person. The correct answer is Vivaswat Manu because Vivaswan के पुत्र हैं. तो जब भी हम संस्कृत में पुत्र या बिलोंग्स टू करते हैं तो वो न से त हो जाता है और ऊ से आ हो जाता है. So the correct answer is Vivaswat Manu. एंड डे 2 का जो क्वेश्चन है उसका आंसर है सतयुग, जिसे हसमुख दवे जी ने जीता है. डे 3 नो राइट आंसर्स. डे 4 नो राइट आंसर्स. डे 5 नो राइट आंसर्स. डे 6 के जो विजेता हैं जो जिन्होंने मेंशन किया करेक्टली सरयू रिवर अयोध्या में है, तो वो उनकी विजेता है करण ठाकुर. डे 7 के भी अभी कोई राइट आंसर्स नहीं आए हैं, सो उसके भी कोई विजेता नहीं है.
Thank you so much, Neena. Thank you so much.
Welcome. I
And
hope
thank you all the participants for giving your time and participating in this insightful session. Thank you so much, Neena.
most welcome. I hope आपकी all that that you people know about Ayodhya, थोड़ी सी आपकी ज्ञान में थोड़ी सी वृद्धि और हुई होगी, and you know that the
Yes.
glory of Ayodhya and why it is so important to Hindus, and that it is the cradle of human civilization. And I wanted this knowledge to be out in the world. So one man's research of a lifetime is going to be another man's knowledge. So my research of almost a lifetime will be released soon, and you guys should definitely read it so that you get to know the beauty of our ancient culture, the beauty of Ayodhya, and how grand and how beautiful it was. Okay.
Yes, eagerly waiting for your book, Neena. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye
Thanks a
bye.
lot. Bye. Thanks,
Bye.
participants.